Life in later years is not only about peaceful mornings in Manchester or quiet afternoons in London parks. It also holds those sleepless hours when the city lies silent, yet the mind wanders restlessly. Many of us have known the strange awakening at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, when even the streets of Liverpool seem to pause and the only sound we truly hear is the rhythm of our own heartbeat. In those moments, worries often arise. Why am I awake again? Could this be an illness? Is age stealing my rest as well as my strength? Yet my friends, waking up during the night, especially beyond the age of 60, is often just a natural part of our body's changing rhythm. Hormones, habits, emotions, and sometimes long-standing conditions play their part. What matters most is not panic, but how gently we choose to face those minutes. Instead of frustration, we can turn them into a quiet pause of self-care. Today, I want to share with you 5 simple things to do when you wake suddenly in the dark. Ways to make those hours a blessing rather than a burden. First, rise with care. At our age, the heart and circulation are not as quick as in youth. A sudden leap from bed can bring dizziness or even cause a dangerous fall. So when you wake, remain still for a short while. Keep your eyes closed, feel each slow breath, and let your hand rest on your chest or stomach to notice the gentle motion of your body. When you are ready, roll slightly to one side, press your palm into the mattress and sit up gradually. Let your feet touch the cool floor for a few seconds before standing. Breathe deeply in and out. This simple act helps the blood flow steadily, keeping you safe from a sudden drop in pressure. Many older people see waking in the night as misfortune. I believe it can be a gift, an invitation to notice ourselves again. Just as every sunrise feels like a new beginning, every midnight awakening can be a chance to listen inwardly, something we often forget in the bustle of the day. Once you are sitting upright, do nothing in haste. Let your legs dangle, close your eyes, take another deep breath in and out. Feel how your heartbeat steadies, how your thoughts quieten. It is in this small practice that the body is gently awakened. No medicines required, no cost at all, only the willingness to treat yourself with kindness. So the next time you find yourself awake at night, remember, it is not merely a disruption. It may also be a moment of grace, a quiet conversation between you and your own well-being. Second, take a few sips of warm water, let it soothe your throat and gently awaken the body. Many people in London or Manchester often wonder in the middle of the night, if I drink water now, will it make me get up too often? Will it disturb my sleep? The truth is, even while we sleep, our bodies still need hydration. After several hours without water, organs such as the liver and kidneys continue to work tirelessly. Without replenishment, the blood can become thicker, blood pressure may fluctuate, and we might wake feeling dry-mouthed or unusually tired without realizing why. For years, I've kept a small thermos by my bedside filled with comfortably warm water. Whether it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I simply take the lid off, sip a little, and feel the warmth slide down my throat, spreading gently into my chest and waking the cells within. You don't need much. Just a sip or two is enough to refresh the system, sharpen the mind, and settle the nerves without chilling the stomach or breaking sleep. Studies in Britain also confirm that drinking warm water at night can calm the nerves, ease the stomach, support circulation, and even help you drift back into deeper rest. For older adults, it has additional benefits, helping to steady blood pressure, preventing cramps, and reducing the dry mouth that so often disturbs our rest. I often describe warm water as a quiet reassurance, a tender comfort offered by nature itself. When the mind is restless and unsettled by a sudden awakening, a small sip of water and a gentle breath can bring surprising calm. Often, the real cause of our sleeplessness is nothing more than dryness rather than any illness. And if you're concerned about needing the bathroom too often, just take a couple of tiny sips instead of drinking a full glass at once. At this age, moderation is everything, from the way we rise from bed to the way we drink water. Third, answer nature's call and refresh your face with cool water. Many people in Liverpool or Birmingham wake not from insomnia, but simply because the bladder signals or the stomach needs release. Forcing yourself to stay in bed only worsens the discomfort, making it harder to fall asleep again. Relieving yourself at this time is actually a way of easing the body, removing what is no longer needed, and preparing for a more restful return to sleep. Here's a little tip I often share. After using the bathroom, take a moment to splash a little cool water on your face. No need for a full wash as in the daytime, just a few drops across the forehead, cheeks and eyes, gently patted dry with a clean towel. That simple freshness awakens the senses, soothes dry eyes and eases the irritation many older adults feel after sleeping. In fact, this light washing stimulates the tear glands, helping clear away the tiny deposits that gather around the eyes at night. For seniors, dry or gritty eyes in the morning are very common. Yet just this one small act, cooling the face with water, can make the eyes brighter, the mind lighter, and the spirit calmer, ready to embrace the next stage of rest. These gestures may seem simple, but they carry extraordinary weight for overall well-being. Every gentle, caring action we offer ourselves is a step toward better health and deeper peace. At the heart of staying well in our later years is the ability to care for ourselves gently and live each moment with presence. It is a curious truth that waking in the middle of the night is not always the result of a tired body. Very often it comes from the mind itself, thoughts and worries built up during the day that only surface once the house falls silent. In retirement, especially here in London or Manchester, the smallest sound, the creak of a stair, the wind brushing against the window, can be enough to stir memories and set the mind adrift. I have met many friends who tell me I'm not in pain, I'm not uncomfortable, yet I cannot fall back asleep. My mind just keeps wandering. This is a natural state when the world outside is hushed and we are left only with our reflections, our recollections, our unspoken feelings. In such moments, I often suggest soothing the spirit with gentle sound. Nothing elaborate, perhaps a quiet piece of instrumental music, the soft patter of rain against the balcony, the rustle of leaves in a Manchester garden, or even a simple recording of running water. If you keep a small radio or music player by your bed, tune into a calm melody or select nature's sounds. These tones can feel like a lullaby from long ago, helping the heart settle and the mind slow, drawing us back towards sleep. What matters most is that the sound be light, never harsh, never overstimulating. The purpose is not entertainment but comfort, an atmosphere that eases the restless thoughts. Many older people who are less familiar with smartphones still find reassurance in a little bedside radio, softly playing a favorite program or a recording of birdsong. I have tried it myself on restless nights, and before long the body loosens, the eyes grow heavy and sleep returns without effort. Sometimes you may not fall asleep immediately, yet still feel calmer, less anxious, and wake in the morning refreshed enough to greet the day. And this is what I always remind older friends. Do not scold the body or despair when you wake at midnight. Instead, treat it as a rare, quiet interval gifted to you by age. These minutes in the night are an invitation to reconnect with your inner life, to listen to the thoughts and memories often drowned out by the noise of daily duties. Do not fight them, do not demand immediate rest. Let the mind drift like the River Thames flowing past its banks, steady, natural, unforced. In these quiet hours, we sometimes discover what truly matters. A fond memory of family, a long-forgotten joy, or simply gratitude that we remain healthy and aware enough to hold a conversation with ourselves. Such moments are precious, no demands, no duties, no interruptions. If you are worried about health, jot down your midnight awakenings or the thoughts that trouble you and share them with your GP in the morning. Do not draw hasty conclusions, nor let fear take over. With calm acceptance, we learn that these night wakings are not signs of illness, but part of the natural rhythm of growing older. They remind us to live with gentleness, patience, and trust in the seasons of life. Once you understand and practice these 5 gentle habits, I truly believe that every one of you can transform those midnight awakenings into moments of self-care for both body and mind. Instead of viewing them as signs of weakness, consider them as lessons, reminders to slow down, to listen inwardly, and to protect your well-being day by day. For those who wish to explore further why waking between 2 and 3 in the morning is so common, or to hear real stories of older friends in Britain who learn to find peace instead of fear in sleepless nights, I invite you to continue with me in the coming chapters. We will talk about the body's natural clock, the role of the liver, hormones, nutrition, and emotions, all of which shape the pattern of our rest in later life. I will also share the moving story of Mrs. Margaret, a 63-year-old from Manchester, who once suffered months of broken sleep but learned to welcome those wakeful minutes as a quiet gift for her soul. Alongside her story, I'll offer practical tips to calm the body and mind, as well as simple advice about light, phones, and bedroom environment to protect your sleep. And in the final section, I'll reveal 7 golden keys for living fully beyond 60, not only keeping strong but enjoying every day with gratitude. So my dear friends, let us continue this journey together. May every midnight stirring become not a source of worry but the beginning of a gentle renewal. Each morning as you rise, may you feel steadier, calmer, and more inspired to embrace the hours ahead. I know that waking at 2 or 3 in the morning often brings unease, even fear. Many worry that it signals declining health or hidden illness. Yet behind this seemingly simple event lies a layered story, one that is both scientific and emotional, even cultural, shaped by how we humans interpret the night. Let us begin with modern science. In truth, awakening between these hours in later life is usually the natural result of adjustments within the body. The main player is the circadian rhythm, the body's built-in clock, quietly regulating our vital functions, sleep and wake cycles, digestion, cell repair, and hormone release. When we were young, this clock kept perfect time. Nights brought deep, unbroken sleep, mornings brought alertness, and everything ran in smooth cycles. But as the years pass, the rhythm itself ages. By our 50s and 60s, the hormones that sustain deep sleep, especially melatonin, are produced in smaller amounts. Sleep becomes lighter, and the tiniest disturbance, a creak of a floorboard in London, a shaft of moonlight through the curtains, or even a fleeting dream can wake us. In older age, the stage of deep sleep shortens, replaced by lighter rest, so our nights are more easily broken. Between 1 and 3 in the morning, the body often shifts between sleep cycles. At that point, the brain may send a subtle signal that stirs us awake without any obvious reason. This is not an illness. It is part of the natural progression of life. Unless it is accompanied by pain, breathlessness, sweating, racing heartbeat, or other troubling symptoms, waking briefly at this time is rarely dangerous. It is simply the body's rhythm adjusting itself, and when understood calmly, it becomes less of a burden and more of a reminder that age, too, has its patterns of beauty. On the contrary, waking at this hour is often the body's gentle reminder to listen more carefully and make small adjustments to lifestyle, diet, routine, and even to our state of mind. But why is it so often between 2 and 3 in the morning and not another time? Modern medicine, as well as long-standing traditions, offer interesting insights. In ancient European thought, as in traditional Chinese medicine studied even here in Britain, every organ has its own cycle of peak activity. Between 1 and 3 a.m., the liver is at work, filtering blood, clearing toxins, processing nutrients, and often releasing emotions that have been held back throughout the day. The liver is not only a physical filter. In many traditions, it is linked with the weight of unspoken worries, resentment, anxiety, anger, or quiet sadness. In the daytime, these feelings are often pressed down beneath the rush of daily life in London or Manchester. But when the city falls silent at night, the body begins its quiet housekeeping. If the liver is strained by late suppers heavy with fried food, too much wine or beer, or by unresolved tension, it may rouse us as if knocking softly to say, "Pay attention." Modern science supports this in its own way. At night, the liver works to detoxify and metabolize what we've eaten or drunk. A late meal, a pint of ale before bed, or an extra course of fish and chips can all make the liver labor harder in the early hours, sometimes waking us as if to signal a warning. This pattern is striking. Many older people who wake between 2 and 3 o'clock often speak not just of discomfort, but of unsettled emotions, old regrets, persistent worries, or a sense that the body itself is asking for gentler care. Dear friends, if you've noticed that despite feeling well during the day, you struggle at night, waking suddenly or finding sleep too light, the deeper reason may lie in changes of hormones with age. Melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep, is abundant in our 20s and 30s, helping us fall into deep, restorative rest. But after 50, its production drops sharply. Sleep cycles become lighter and the transitions between them less smooth. The central nervous system, which governs so many automatic rhythms of life, also wears with age. And when combined with chronic conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, or aching joints, the body often interrupts sleep with little alarms. A twitch of pain, a numbness in the hand, or a sudden stronger heartbeat. Add to this the effect of regular medication. Many older adults rely on medicines for long-term health, diuretics, blood pressure tablets, antidepressants, or pain relief for arthritis. Some of these, while necessary, affect sleep, causing extra trips to the bathroom at night or disrupting the depth of rest. So if you've ever wondered why you wake in the small hours but feel drowsy again during the day, here lies the answer. Changes in hormones, the aging of the nervous system, the presence of medical conditions, and the side effects of treatment all weave together to reshape our nights. It is not weakness nor a failing, it is simply the body's way of adapting to time. Another important factor often overlooked is what and how we eat in the evening. Many older friends here in London or Manchester have long kept the habit of late suppers, sometimes too heavy with meat, fats, sugary puddings, or fried dishes. Yet our stomach, liver, and intestines are not as strong as they once were. By nightfall, these organs need rest, not another full shift of work. A late, hearty dinner means the stomach must churn when the body should be slowing down. Proteins, fats, and sugars linger, pressing on the liver and gut, creating gas, discomfort, or acidity. The result, restless sleep that is easily broken by the smallest disturbance inside. Some also keep the habit of strong black tea, coffee, or even extra supplements in the evening, which only make the nervous system more alert and the digestion more active, often leading to wakefulness in the early hours. Others find themselves stirred awake simply by the urge to use the toilet, having taken in too much water before bed. So if you often wake at night, ask yourself, was supper too late, too rich, or too large? Did you sip too much tea or coffee before turning in? These hidden causes of broken sleep are easier to miss than we think. And perhaps most unsettling of all are the nights when there is no clear reason, no pain, no illness, only the stirring of the heart. In such moments, reflect on your day. Was there something left unsaid, a quarrel unresolved, a worry about your children or grandchildren, concerns about health, or simply a sense of incompleteness? In youth, life is crowded with work, plans, and dreams. But in later years, with more silence and time to reflect, thoughts flow more freely. At night, when the world outside Liverpool or Birmingham falls quiet, those memories return. Loved ones gone, joys remembered, regrets that never fully fade. Medicine calls this hidden stress, an undercurrent of thought that never fully rests, keeping the brain quietly active and stopping us from relaxing completely. Research in Britain has shown that older people are naturally more inclined to reflect, recall, and even mourn. It is not illness, but the mind's way of adjusting to the turning of life seasons. If we do not ease these feelings in the day, the night will often bring them back, not to trouble us, but to remind us to listen. This is not a disorder, it is our own inborn instinct for healing, a subtle adjustment of emotion. Beyond science, English culture too holds deep traditions around the mystery of the night. Many still speak of the witching hour, that sacred time between 2 and 3 a.m., when energy shifts, when silence is thickest and the mind most open. Older neighbors often say that only in those hours, while the house sleeps and the streets lie still, do they truly hear the small stirrings inside, the sound of their breath, the patter of rain on a London roof, the thoughts they never voiced. Some call it the holy hour, a moment to connect with one's ancestors or with the deeper self rarely touched in the daylight. I believe that whatever explanation we choose, scientific or spiritual, there is something undeniably sacred about these quiet intervals. In them, each older person finds their own private space of truth, a gentle stillness that belongs to them alone. If we receive these wakeful moments with calm acceptance without panic or fear, they can become gifts, teaching us to love ourselves more, to slow down, and to understand our own hearts. In truth, waking between 2 and 3 in the morning is rarely caused by a single thing. It is the result of many influences: the aging body clock, hormonal changes, diet, underlying health conditions, stored emotions, and even the cultural or spiritual beliefs we carry with us. The important lesson is not to fight or resent it, but to learn how to adapt, treat it as a natural rhythm of later life. In fact, many older people in London and Manchester have found that once they adjust their evening habits, eating supper earlier and lighter, practicing gentle breathing or meditation before bed, or discovering quiet hobbies such as reading, listening to soft music, or keeping a diary, the experience of waking at night becomes less troubling. Sometimes it even becomes an opportunity for peace. Doctors here in Britain often suggest, if you cannot fall back asleep within 15 or 20 minutes, don't force it. Instead, rise slowly, walk quietly around the room, take a sip of warm water, or read a few pages of a book. Some even turn on the radio at low volume or put on a recording of soothing classical or soft rock music, something gentle to settle the mind. When the thoughts ease and the body relaxes, sleep usually returns naturally. I have heard stories from older friends who once dreaded waking at night, but later learned to use those minutes as time for reflection. A cup of tea without caffeine, the sound of rain on a London rooftop, or simply writing a few lines in a journal helped them find calm again. By morning they felt clearer, not resentful, and no longer angry at themselves for losing sleep. In my years of working with older adults, I have met many who came to their GP terrified of waking at 3 a.m., convinced it meant illness. Yet after gentle guidance, adjusting lifestyle, practicing light exercise, and above all, changing how they thought about the experience, they too found relief. The message I always repeat is this: view these early hours not as a decline in health, but as a natural signal, an invitation to pause, to care, and to reconnect with yourself. If you often wake at this time, ask yourself, have I been eating too late? Is there a worry on my mind about my children, my health, or the future? By reflecting and making small adjustments, we reclaim control instead of feeling helpless. Science has shown that sleep at 60 or 70 is not the same as at 20. But if we listen closely to the body and treat it with patience, even shorter, lighter sleep can still restore energy and nourish life. So now, having explored the scientific, emotional, and even cultural layers behind these midnight awakenings, let us continue the journey. In the next part, I will share the touching story of Margaret, a 63-year-old from Liverpool who once suffered sleepless nights but learned to transform them into quiet blessings, moments of peace, gratitude, and gentle self-care in the heart of later life. After exploring together the reasons why many older people wake between 2 and 3 in the morning, from science to emotions, let me now share a real story. This is the story of Mrs. Margaret, a 63-year-old retired teacher from Liverpool, and her journey of learning to listen to herself. From anxiety to peace, she discovered how to cherish those midnight hours. Margaret's life once seemed perfectly ordinary. She lived with her husband in a modest flat not far from the city centre. Her days followed a gentle rhythm, shopping in the market in the morning, preparing lunch at noon, tending to her small balcony garden in the afternoon, and watching the BBC in the evening before going to bed around 10. After decades of teaching in a local secondary school, her habits were disciplined and precise. Early to bed, early to rise. Her alarm clock once the steady companion of her working life. But after retirement, everything changed. Without the chatter of pupils, without stacks of lessons to prepare, and with no alarm clock calling her at 6, her nights became unsettled. She would lie down early only to find herself restless, or she would fall asleep quickly but wake suddenly at 2 or 3 o'clock. Wide awake, her mind drifted over memories, her children, old colleagues, the joys and sorrows of her years in the classroom. At first she panicked. She feared her body was failing, that hidden illness was creeping in. Alone in the dark, she listened to the ticking clock, to her own heartbeat, and tears would come. She searched the internet for every article on insomnia, tried herbal teas like chamomile, followed advice from neighbors, even considered traditional remedies. Yet nothing truly solved the problem. Each night she still found herself awake at the same hour. Encouraged by her daughter, Margaret visited her GP for a full checkup. The doctor tested her heart, liver, kidneys, thyroid, blood pressure, blood sugar. Everything came back within safe limits. Smiling kindly, the GP reassured her, there is no serious illness here. Your sleep is simply lighter now, as it often is in later years. Don't be too afraid. Relieved yet unconvinced, Margaret tried deep breathing exercises, gentle evening walks, lighter suppers, and turning off her phone and television before bed. These changes helped a little, but the midnight awakenings never disappeared completely. She even experimented with mild sleeping tablets, but soon found herself sluggish in the day, unable to enjoy her garden or play with her grandchildren. Then one evening, by chance, she watched a health program for seniors on the BBC. A doctor on the show explained that waking at 2 or 3 in the morning is not always an illness. Sometimes it is simply the body's natural way of saying, slow down, care for yourself. Listen to what is happening inside. For Margaret, those words were like a drop of water rippling across a quiet pond. She sat in silence for a long while, then suddenly smiled. What she once feared as a curse could be transformed into something gentler, a reminder that even in the middle of the night, life was still inviting her to breathe, to listen, and to care for herself with kindness. Margaret finally realized there was nothing wrong with her. After decades of hard work, her body was simply asking her to rest more kindly, to live at a gentler pace. From that evening on, she decided not to battle against her sleepless nights, but to welcome them like the return of an old, familiar friend. One night at 2:45 a.m., she woke as usual, but instead of grumbling, she lay still, listening to her breathing, feeling the mattress beneath her back, hearing the soft patter of rain against the window. She remembered the GP's words, "Your body is reminding you to slow down, to breathe, to take life lightly." She sat up slowly, placing her feet on the cool wooden floor, reached for the small flask she kept on the bedside table, and took a few sips of warm water. The dryness in her throat eased, her body felt lighter. She walked to the bathroom, washed her face with cool water, and looked into the mirror. The woman gazing back had silver threads in her hair, faint shadows under her eyes, but her gaze was calm and kind. "I am older now, but there's no shame in that. Everyone reaches this point," she thought. That night she didn't touch her phone or switch on the television. Instead, she opened the window slightly to let the night air in. She heard the whisper of leaves, the stillness of the city beyond. It reminded her of evenings long ago, marking essays under a yellow lamp after school, content in the quiet. She didn't fall back asleep straight away, but she also didn't feel tired or angry. She took her pen, opened a small notebook, and wrote a few lines, a midnight entry, light and honest. She realized, "I'm still healthy, still alive, and I can even love these silent moments of the night." From then on, Margaret prepared herself differently. By her bed sat a flask of warm water, a notebook, and a pen. Sometimes she wrote a few verses, sometimes a thought or a memory, perhaps the sound of rain on the roof or the laughter of her granddaughter that afternoon. Other nights, she simply listened to soft instrumental music, gentle piano, the sound of flowing water, the breeze rustling the trees. The melodies did not erase her worries, but they held her like a comforting embrace. Now and then she stepped onto the balcony, breathing in the cool air, gazing up at the quiet sky, counting the few stars still visible. She felt alive, present with every breath, every movement of the night. She realized that waking in the dark was not something to fear, but simply part of living. She shared this discovery with her friends at the local seniors club in Manchester. "I no longer hope to sleep through the whole night. I only hope that each time I wake, my heart is calm enough to greet it as I would an old friend." This art of slowing down freed her from the pressure of a perfect night's sleep. No longer blaming herself, she learned to treasure each moment, even those wrapped in silence. And with time, Margaret gathered her own little set of truths, which she now shares with others. A. Do not jump out of bed too quickly. At our age, sudden movements can cause dizziness or drops in blood pressure. Instead, stay still for a while, take a few deep breaths, stretch gently, and then sit up slowly. B. Sip warm water. Just a few sips soothe the throat, refresh the body, and support circulation, preventing lightheadedness when you stand or walk to the bathroom. C. Tend to yourself gently. Use the bathroom, rinse your face with cool water, and pat your eyes and cheeks softly with a clean towel. These small acts refresh the senses, helping you feel calmer and ready for rest again. The cool freshness of water awakened her body, washing away the heaviness of the night. D. Listen to gentle sounds. Instead of switching on the television or scrolling through her phone, Margaret chose calm music, the sound of rain, or simply her own breathing. E. Write it down. When her thoughts were too many, she placed them onto paper. By turning emotions into words, the weight of worry seemed to ease and her mind grew lighter. F. Do not force sleep. There were nights when, no matter what she tried, rest did not return quickly. Rather than wrestle with herself, she sat quietly, gazed out at the night, and treated those minutes as a form of rest for the soul. With time, Margaret began to share her experience openly. At her local seniors group in Manchester or over morning tea with friends, she would laugh and say, "Don't be frightened if you wake at night. It isn't your fault and it doesn't mean you're ill. Try making friends with that moment instead." Her words made others smile, and soon they shared their own stories. One gentleman admitted he would pick up his embroidery when awake, another tried light stretches, some meditated, others listened to the radio or even wrote letters to grandchildren far away. Each had discovered a small way to embrace the night. Through these conversations, they all realized something important. They were not alone. Everyone had their own awakenings, their own quiet rituals, their own path back to peace. The sharing itself was powerful. It turned sleepless hours into moments of connection, both with themselves and with their community. After years of practice, Margaret reached her own conclusion. Sleeping well is good, but living fully is even more precious. For her, each midnight awakening was no longer a punishment but a small gift, time to slow down, to reflect, and to be grateful for life. She wrote in her diary, "Last night I woke at 2:30. At first I felt uneasy, but then I realized I was still breathing steadily, I could still hear the rain, I could still write down the quiet thoughts of a woman who has spent a lifetime teaching." Waking is no longer frightening, it is a pause in the rush of life. From this new perspective, Margaret often reminded her peers, don't panic when you wake at night. Don't blame yourself and don't rush to medicine unless it's truly needed. Learn instead to listen, to care gently for both body and spirit. Let these moments of wakefulness become pauses of rest when the mind softens and the body heals itself. The greatest transformation she felt was not in the length of her sleep, but in her attitude. She moved from worry and fear to gratitude and acceptance. Each morning, even after a broken night, she smiled, began her day with a glass of warm water, a simple breakfast, and a few stretches. Her message to the younger generation was simple yet profound. Aging is not only about slowing down, it is about learning to love yourself, to listen, and to accept every change with grace. Waking in the night, if embraced, can be another chance to reflect and to love life more deeply. Margaret's story spread among her friends, her children, and even her neighbors. She became a quiet source of encouragement for others anxious about insomnia in later life. And she went further, posting her reflections online, joining a local wellness club, even speaking to younger groups about what she called the art of waking. What once began as fear had become her way of teaching others that even in sleepless nights there are gifts waiting to be found. Margaret's daughter often said that thanks to her mother, the whole family began to see sleep in a new way. Listening to Margaret speak about her midnight awakenings brought a sense of calm to the household. They learned to cherish every moment together, to listen more closely, and to live with greater gratitude. Her friends followed her example, sharing their own stories with neighbors and relatives. Soon, a small community was formed. Older people in Manchester who cared for themselves more gently, cared for one another, and treated sleepless nights as chances to slow down and live with more depth. As we close Margaret's story, I want to leave you with a thought. Sleep in later years is not the same as in youth, yet with patience, healthier routines, and kindness toward body and mind, everyone can create peaceful nights and more fulfilling days. In the next part, I will share 3 very simple but effective suggestions, little practices that help the body and spirit relax when waking in the night. Breathing in fresh air, listening to gentle sounds, and moving the body lightly. These small habits, tried by many older people across Britain, have transformed nights that once felt restless into moments of comfort, restoring energy for the new day. My dear friends, every story is a gift. Margaret's journey is also the journey of many others in later life, facing change yet finding peace. I hope that after hearing her, each of you will discover your own way of caring for yourself, knowing that with gentleness and patience, aging can be one of the most meaningful and beautiful chapters of life. So let us begin with the first suggestion. Breathe the night air. Many of you may have heard this advice. When you wake at 2 or 3 in the morning, open a window or step onto the balcony to take in the cool air. What seems so simple is in fact deeply beneficial, something even modern science has confirmed. At those hours, the air in London, Manchester, or Liverpool is often at its purest, fresh, still, untouched by the noise and dust of the day. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the night breeze touch your face. That sensation calms the mind, refreshes every cell, and makes the body feel renewed. Studies show that deep breathing, especially in the quiet of early morning, helps oxygen spread evenly through the tissues, supporting natural recovery, easing stress, and gently increasing alertness. Many older friends have told me that after only a few times of standing quietly on the balcony, their mood changed noticeably. Tension lifted, the body felt lighter, and it was as if they had been given a sip of pure energy. Allow yourself to blend into the stillness of the night sky. Look up at the stars, or simply notice the trees, listen to the wind weaving softly through the leaves. In that moment, the world feels quiet, and so does your heart. These simple moments, which might seem ordinary, are in fact small treasures that only later life teaches us to appreciate. If the night is too cold to step outside, or if your flat has no balcony, just open the window a little and stand nearby for a few minutes. Breathe in slowly, breathe out deeply. With each breath, fatigue and worry seem to drift away. Do not underestimate those quiet seconds. This is when you truly connect with nature, with yourself, and with the steady rhythm of life. Second, listen to gentle sounds that calm the mind. Alongside fresh air, soft sounds are a powerful way to soothe the spirit and guide you back toward rest. Think of childhood, how easily we drifted to sleep with the hush of wind in the trees or the rain tapping against the roof. That instinct remains in us all. The mind is comforted by steady, familiar rhythms. In modern Britain, it's easy to make use of a small radio, a phone, or even a simple speaker. Choose soft instrumental music, the trickle of a stream, birdsong at dawn, or the patter of English rain. Keep the volume low, just enough to hear, never loud enough to disturb. Some prefer meditation music, others classical pieces, and some find calm in the ticking of a clock or the sound of a partner's quiet breathing beside them. Each person finds their own way, so long as the mind is truly able to let go. Research has shown that gentle sound can slow brainwaves, reduce stress hormones, and encourage the body to enter deep relaxation, paving the way for natural sleep to return. Especially for those whose minds run busy at night, soft music can serve as a bridge leading the thoughts away from worry and back to calm. And if you'd rather not use devices, you can still listen to the world itself. The rustle of leaves in the garden, the wind brushing the roof tiles, even your own heartbeat. In the silence of the night, these simple sounds become life's most beautiful music, the song of peace, of presence, of aging with grace. Third, gentle movement of the hands and body. Sometimes, when the mind refuses to settle, lying in bed only makes frustration worse. Instead, try redirecting your energy with small tasks. Fold the blanket neatly, tidy the books on the bedside table, wipe down a shelf, or adjust the pillows. These little actions anchor you in the present moment, freeing you from the endless flow of restless thoughts. Science tells us that such light activity, no vigorous exercise, just simple movements that don't strain the heart, can help the nervous system find balance between wakefulness and sleepiness. As the body moves gently, the brain begins to release its grip on worry and shifts towards stillness, preparing once more for rest. Many older friends here in Manchester have found success with this. One woman told me she simply goes to the kitchen, rinses a few cups, and then returns to bed feeling clearer. Another prefers to rearrange her newspapers, while a neighbor likes to take a slow walk around the living room, breathing evenly before lying down again. None of them force themselves to sleep immediately. Instead, they let the night unfold, and sleep arrives quietly when the body is ready. The heart of this practice is not about doing, but about moving gently, simply enough to bring yourself back to the present moment. When the body shifts softly, the mind follows and calmness returns. Each light action reminds us of life's rhythm, loosens unneeded thoughts, and lays the ground for natural sleep to come again. Fourth, practical notes to make these habits safe and effective. Above all, safety must come first if you step onto the balcony or walk about during the night. Keep a small lamp with soft light, never too harsh, to avoid tripping or slipping. If your eyesight is poor or your balance isn't steady, wear non-slip slippers and move carefully. It's wise to let a family member know about these habits so they feel reassured. Prepare essentials in advance: a flask of warm water, a clean hand towel, a notebook, or a small radio placed by the bedside. This way, when you wake, you won't need to wander far. Convenience makes good habits easier and prevents disturbing those you live with. Never force yourself to do more than feels right. If tiredness or dizziness appears, simply stay in bed, breathe deeply, and focus on each breath. These 3 suggestions, fresh air, gentle sounds, and light movement, are invitations, not obligations. What matters most is listening to your own body with kindness. Avoid bright lights, phones, and tablets when you wake. Use only a dim night lamp. The glow of screens with their blue light can lower melatonin and make it harder to fall asleep again. Fifth, sharing experiences as personal remedies. No 2 people have the same body clock, the same memories, or the same needs. While these practices help many, each person must experiment, notice their body's signals, and choose what suits them. Some feel restored by standing at the window and breathing in the cool Manchester night air. Others prefer quiet music, a few gentle stretches, or writing in a journal. A neighbor might read a few pages of a favorite book, another might sketch or simply think of a happy moment. The most valuable part is that older adults learn to care for themselves actively, without depending entirely on sleeping pills or waiting for others. And when experiences are shared over a cup of tea at a local cricket club meeting or within a community group, people find peace together. One story inspires another, and slowly the whole community grows in understanding, connection, and gentle compassion. Sixth, transform sleeplessness into a pause that nourishes the spirit. At any age, life brings moments that don't go as planned. Waking in the early hours may seem troublesome, yet it can become a rare chance to slow down, breathe, listen, and offer kindness to yourself. These small habits, deep breathing, soft sound, and light movement, are not only ways back into sleep but an art of living, to turn the inconvenient into opportunity, to turn restlessness into care. If you find them helpful, share your experiences with friends, children, or grandchildren. Let them see that sleep in later life, even when broken, can still hold peace. Each morning, as you rise with the sun over London or Liverpool, let your heart carry gratitude for rest, for breath, for another day lived with gentleness. My dear friends, as we continue exploring ways to ease the mind and body after waking in the night, there is one quiet factor often overlooked: light and electronic devices. The glow of televisions, smartphones, and strong electric lamps can disturb sleep far more than we realize. Learning to soften the light in our rooms may be as powerful as any remedy we practice. If in the earlier parts we spoke of attitude and self-care, here I'd like to draw your attention to something far simpler. The very room you sleep in, the corner of your bed, the small lamp by your side, and the habits you form when waking in the night. These small details, often overlooked, can be the key to steady sleep, a calmer mind, and better mornings. First, why does light have such an impact on sleep as we age? As the years pass, the body grows more sensitive to its surroundings, and light is one of the most powerful influences on our internal rhythm. Think back. The nights when you slept most soundly were when the room was dark enough, undisturbed by outside glare. In contrast, even a sliver of street lamp glow seeping through a curtain in London, or the sudden flash of a phone screen, can cause you to toss and turn. Modern research confirms it. Blue light from electronic screens and harsh white lighting suppresses melatonin, the natural hormone that signals the body it's time to rest. The brain, tricked into thinking it's morning, reduces melatonin and sparks alertness. That is why so many find that a quick glance at the phone leaves them wide awake for hours, or that switching on the main light when using the bathroom makes sleep impossible to regain. Second, what type of lighting should you use if you wake between 2 and 3 a.m.? Opt for a bedside lamp with a soft, warm glow, amber or golden tones that comfort rather than jar. Keep the brightness low, just enough to guide your steps without dazzling the eyes. Place lamps so that the light does not shine directly across your pillow. If you need to move further, use a torch with the dimmest setting or a motion-sensitive light that offers safety without flooding the room. Many older people instinctively turn on the ceiling light for fear of stumbling, but in reality, harsh light fully wakes the brain, disrupting your circadian rhythm and tricking the body into a false day. The result: deeper sleep becomes harder to find. Instead, one gentle light source is enough, safe for your footing, yet still preserving the calm, warm atmosphere of the bedroom. Curtains should be heavy enough to block intrusive street lamps, or you can add blackout blinds. During the day, open your windows wide and let natural daylight stream in. But at night, keep the room quiet, calm, and properly dimmed, so your brain knows it's truly time to rest. Third, be mindful with phones, televisions, and other glowing screens. In our age of technology, it is tempting, when awake at 2 a.m. in Manchester, to reach for the phone, check the news, scroll through social media, or watch a late-night program on the telly. But this very habit quietly undermines sleep. The blue light from those screens is the strongest disruptor of all, jolting the brain into high alert. Within minutes, your body shifts from relaxation to a state of vigilance, raising cortisol, the hormone of wakefulness, and sweeping away any lingering drowsiness. That is why even a brief look at your mobile can delay sleep far longer than expected. It isn't loneliness or boredom that keeps you awake, it is the light you allowed into your eyes. The trouble with screens at night is not only the light itself, but the endless stream of content, news, gossip, worries, and noise that floods the mind instead of calming it. What begins as a search for comfort often ends up fueling restlessness. And for older eyes, staring at a bright screen in the small hours brings strain, dryness, and long-term harm to vision. Far from lulling you back to rest, this habit only makes the night feel heavier. Fourth, replace poor habits with gentler choices. If you are used to reaching for your mobile or switching on the television when you wake at 2 or 3 a.m., try easing yourself toward healthier rituals. As I shared earlier, keep a little radio by the bed, tuned to quiet instrumental music or recordings of natural sounds, perhaps rainfall on the streets of Manchester or birdsong carried through English gardens. Place a small notebook beside you to jot down thoughts, a few lines of poetry, or memories that bring warmth. These modest gestures bring the mind back to peace, away from the harsh pull of technology. If light is needed, choose a soft amber lamp with a switch within reach so you never need to rise in the dark. Remind yourself, just enough light, no phone, no news, no television. Old habits may tug at you, but with patience the body adjusts and your natural rhythm grows stronger. Some friends have even kept recordings of loved ones, a grandchild's laughter, a family story ready to play quietly at the bedside. These sounds, simple yet tender, soothe the spirit far more than a restless scroll through social media. Fifth, nurture a family culture of healthy rest. Good habits are not just individual matters, they ripple through the whole household. In many English homes where 3 generations live together, it helps if everyone agrees on a few rules. Dim lights in the evening, no screens for at least half an hour before bed, and a calm, tidy room for sleep. For children, seeing their parents and grandparents follow these rituals becomes a lasting lesson. If the whole family turns off the telly and puts away phones before 10, then spends a little time in gentle conversation, everyone rests better and wakes in kinder spirits. Temptation will come, perhaps the thought of checking your mobile, flicking on a bright light, or letting the television play until the morning. Yet giving in only deepens the cycle, poor sleep, weary mornings, and sluggish days. If you do stumble, do not scold yourself harshly. Return gently to healthier choices. Breathe deeply, sip warm water, listen to music, or move your hands with a quiet task. These small recoveries are what matter most. Seventh, create the right environment, the true foundation of healthy aging. Dear friends, a proper resting space is more than comfort, it is protection for long-term well-being. Keep your bedroom neat with air that is fresh and steady in temperature, never too hot nor too cold. This simple care creates the soil from which calm nights and brighter days can grow. Keep the essentials within reach so you don't need to flood the room with bright light each time you stir. Clear the pathway from bed to door, avoid strong artificial scents or sudden noises that might jolt you awake. Place a small lamp in the corner or on the bedside table with an easy switch. A motion sensor light can be helpful, sparing you from fumbling in the dark. If possible, invest in thick curtains or double-glazed windows to soften the hum of the street and block the orange glow of a street lamp outside. Let your bedroom in Manchester or Liverpool be your retreat, a place of peace where worries are set aside and energy restored for the morning ahead. When mind and body are given the rest they deserve, you will notice the difference. Brighter spirits, steadier health, and midnight waking no longer a fear but a quiet gift, a pause to reconnect with yourself. Later life is a journey of slowing down, learning to treasure the everyday. So if you find yourself awake at 2 or 3 a.m., start with the basics. A calm room, gentle light, no phone, no rush. Choose stillness and let that stillness welcome you back into sleep, carrying a gentler view of life with it. With such small changes, adjusting the light, setting aside electronic distractions, you grant yourself something far greater, healthier rest, a calmer spirit, and a later life truly lived in fullness. If you feel these reflections resonate, try them step by step or share them with friends, children, or grandchildren so that all may learn to embrace the quiet beauty of night. My dear friends, we have traveled together through many layers, from understanding why these wakeful hours arrive to tending our bodies, adjusting the room around us, and finding ways to soften the midnight mind. At this point, I invite you to pause, to look within, to reflect on how our outlook shapes these moments, for what seems an inconvenience may in truth be a silent gift of aging. First, do not see waking in the night as a failing. See it as a signal to listen. All of us will know the experience of eyes opening at midnight, especially as the years advance. At first we are unsettled, I was too, staring at the dark, hearing the steady tick of the clock, feeling the heart beat faster, worrying that something must be wrong, that health is fading, or that others sleep undisturbed while we do not. These are honest human thoughts, but after years of listening to myself and hearing the stories of others across Britain, I have come to realize something profound. Waking at night is not always a warning. Sometimes it is simply the body's way of asking us to pause, to care once more for the soul, for our health, and for the simple but priceless things of everyday life. One friend once told me she had grown weary of waking at 2 a.m., convinced it was proof of aging, yet I see it differently. These are the hours that belong only to ourselves, free of duties, free of noise, free of rush. A sacred pause, a gift of time to hear our own body, our own heart. Second, shift from fear to acceptance. Change your view and you live lighter. In truth, our attitude toward ourselves shapes so much of the quality of later life. If we live in constant fear of every change in the body, even something as natural as lighter sleep, we risk trapping ourselves in an endless cycle of anxiety. The more we worry, the less we sleep, the less we sleep. The more we worry until the mind convinces itself of illness. But when we meet these changes with calm acceptance, not resignation but gentle acknowledgement, life grows lighter. Waking in the night, it need not be a burden. It can be a moment that belongs entirely to you. You might rise slowly, sip a little warm water from the flask by your bed, write a few lines in a journal, or simply sit quietly by the window and look out at the silver glow of the moon over London. Acceptance turns you from a victim of age into the master of that hour, transforming wakefulness into a private space of care and kindness. Third, these wakeful hours are chances to connect with yourself and enrich the soul. Think back, during the rush of youth, we always longed for time alone. Now that we finally have it, why spend it in fretfulness? Instead, let those quiet moments at 2 a.m. become rare invitations inward. Ask yourself, am I at peace today? Is there something I need to release? Have I been gentle enough with myself? Many older friends here in Manchester tell me they spend those minutes listening to soft classical music, rereading a few favorite verses, or even whispering prayers for their children and grandchildren. Just 1 minute of stillness can soften the heart. Worries fade with each breath, replaced by calm. Each person will find their own way, some write, some pray, some simply breathe. What matters most is that we choose a positive outlook to nurture the spirit. Fourth, share and learn within the community. In our connected age, it is easier than ever to pass on our experiences, whether at a seniors group in the village hall, over morning tea with neighbors, or in a local book club. Telling the story of your restless nights, your fears, and the ways you found peace not only lightens your own heart but encourages others. For too many, silence breeds loneliness. But when we open up, we discover that we are not alone. Everyone has had their wakeful hours, their anxieties about age, health, or sleeplessness. From that honesty, empathy grows naturally and no one feels abandoned. You may even join gentle community activities, a yoga class at the parish hall, a mindfulness group, or simply swapping stories and laughter with friends in the park. These bonds restore meaning and belonging, reminding us that we remain valuable and connected, whatever our age. Fifth, nurture optimism, the golden key to rest and long life. Sleepless nights will come, as will moments of unease, but how we choose to meet them shapes our happiness. The optimistic soul seeks light even in difficulty. Waking at night becomes not a curse, but a chance to breathe in fresh air, to whisper thanks for still being here, for still being alive, to feel life flow through us. Cheerfulness does not spring from grand things, but from how we see and cherish each small moment. Try setting yourself a small goal each day. It could be as simple as smiling at your own reflection, writing down one line of gratitude, or finding a reason to laugh. Over time, the weight on the mind begins to ease and sleep comes more naturally. Studies across Britain have shown that those who stay cheerful and find joy in the simplest of things, like a walk in the park, a chat over tea, or even the sound of rain against the window, live longer, healthier lives. A positive attitude is the most affordable and most effective medicine, one no prescription can replace. Sixth, sometimes imperfection itself is the gift. Later life is like an English garden past its summer bloom, fewer bright petals perhaps, but deeper roots, sturdy branches that have weathered decades of sun and storm. You may no longer sleep in one long stretch, may walk more slowly, or forget things you once remembered easily. But in return, you now have more time to listen, to notice, to love. Don't demand of yourself the impossible, to sleep as you once did, to live as though nothing has changed. Instead, meet these shifts with gentleness. Cherish yourself and those around you in both strength and weakness. When we learn to embrace our flaws, we begin to truly rest in the present. Seventh, your attitude is an inheritance for the next generation. The way you face restless nights, the way you greet aging with calm and care, these are the lessons your children and grandchildren will carry. When they see grandparents in London or Manchester treating age with grace, looking after themselves and still finding joy in each day, they too learn to live slowly, deeply, gratefully. This is a legacy more precious than money or property. Many older friends have told me that once they stopped complaining about broken sleep and chose instead to accept it, their households became more peaceful. Children worried less, the air at home grew lighter. Sometimes just one smile, one positive story from an elder is enough to soothe an entire family and help the young grow strong and kind. 8th, see waking at night as life's gentle test. Each time you stir at 2 or 3 a.m., instead of frowning or sighing, rest a hand on your chest, breathe deeply and ask yourself, what can I let go of tonight? Who do I love and miss? What has brought me joy today? One simple question can steady the heart. If sleep does not return, no matter. Use the time to nourish the soul, read a page of poetry, listen to soft music, or watch the moon drift above the rooftops. Even the smallest things can become inspiration for tomorrow. My dear friends, later life is not a full stop but a new chapter, one with the right to slow down, to live more deeply, and to love oneself more tenderly. Each waking moment in the night is not a curse but a quiet reminder that you are alive, that there are still treasures to notice and love to give. So if you are reading this in the stillness of night, I hope you find a touch of peace and a spark of courage to continue gently onward. Share your stories, connect with your community, and never forget, at any age, each of us deserves to live with calm, with wholeness, and with joy in every moment. My dear friends, as the years pile up like layers on a mountain, each of us is given the chance to look back on what we've lived, what we've been given, and most importantly, what we still long to experience and to share. None of us can resist the passage of time, but we can choose how to live in our later years, shaping them into a season of ripe fruit, days filled with calm, freedom, and fulfillment. There are 7 simple truths that, though ordinary, can make life in later years richer, healthier, and an inspiration for the generations after us. Let me share them with you as if we were sitting together over a warm cup of English tea, speaking slowly and gently so the words sink deep. 1. Guard both body and mind, the foundation of all happiness. At any age, but especially after 60, health is the greatest treasure. With good health, everything becomes lighter, the mind is calmer, the heart more joyful. But health is not simply about taking tablets or visiting the doctor. It is the daily practice of balance. Eat well, move gently, rest wisely, and above all, keep a peaceful mind. A morning stretch, a few deep breaths, a short walk in the fresh London air, listening to the birds at dawn, already the spirit feels lighter. Meals need not be elaborate. A plate of fresh vegetables, fish and chips only occasionally, less sugar and salt, more warm water, fewer pints of beer. Walks in the park, a little gardening, or even cricket with friends. These small movements keep the joints supple, the digestion strong, the sleep deeper, and the mind sharper. Yet health is not only in the body but also in the heart. A man or woman burdened with regrets or bitterness will not be well no matter how carefully they eat. Learn to forgive yourself, extend kindness to others, and accept change with grace. When the mind rests in peace, the body soon follows and life flows more gently, with illness visiting less often. 2. Stay financially steady and live with dignity. After 60, many of us retire, our regular earnings gone. Some may say money doesn't matter now, but in truth, financial independence is the root of freedom and self-respect. With a small reserve set aside, you will not fear illness or unexpected turns. More importantly, you won't feel dependent on others, nor ashamed before your children. Build the habit of saving early, even if just a little each month. If still able, take on light work, a stall at the weekend market, tutoring children, or tending an allotment. It brings not only extra income but also joy. Safe investments, savings accounts, or health insurance can offer further security. What matters most is staying in control of your life, not falling into worry or helplessness. And resist the urge to spend for show. True happiness is found in inner calm, not outward display. 3. Keep close ties with family and community, the deepest source of belonging. Nothing replaces the warmth of kinship. In later years, a Sunday roast shared with children and grandchildren, a kind word from a neighbor, or a friendly chat in the local club often proves more precious than silver or gold. To know there are people who care, to have a place where you belong, this is the true wealth of later life. My dear friends, to keep the flame of connection alive, we must nurture it daily. Don't wait for your children or grandchildren to visit before you reach out, and don't let pride keep you apart from old friends. Once a week, why not make the first move, send a message, share a photo, or simply ring someone for a chat over the phone? With neighbors and friends, join in local activities, perhaps a seniors walking group, a community gardening club, or even a charity coffee morning. These gatherings not only bring joy but also keep loneliness at bay when family are busy. And if you can, be the steady heart of your home, the safe haven your family know they can always return to. Not through wealth or gifts, but through patience, kindness, listening, sharing old stories, and keeping an open hand. 4. Live with optimism, let go of the past and hold on to joy. One of the secrets to staying cheerful and healthy in later life is learning to release what no longer serves us. Dwelling on regrets or grudges changes nothing but weighs down the spirit. Instead, treasure the present, the chance to walk in the fresh Manchester air, share Sunday lunch with family, or enjoy a quiet evening with your favorite book. Joy is found in the ordinary, a rose in bloom, a favorite rock song on the radio, a good film, or the laughter of a grandchild. Never hold back a smile, a kind word, or a story that lifts others up. Positivity benefits you first and then ripples out to your entire household. 5. Keep the mind agile, curious, and young. Many assume that learning is for the young, but the brain, like a muscle, grows sharper with use. Set yourself small challenges. Try a crossword, learn a new recipe, take up chess, practice a few phrases in French, or even explore how to use the latest smartphone apps. Local libraries, adult education classes, or community centres across London and Liverpool often run free workshops. Join them. Read widely, play memory games, or enjoy puzzles. These habits protect against memory decline, keep conversation lively, and foster new friendships. Most importantly, staying curious keeps the spirit youthful, reminding us that age is only a number. 6. Share and give. This is the root of meaningful living. The more we give, the richer life feels. Generosity is not only about money, but also about sharing knowledge, encouragement, and time. You might help a grandchild with homework, tell family stories that pass on values, or lend a hand at a local food bank. A neighbor may need company after illness, or a friend may welcome your listening ear. Each small act plants a seed of kindness, bringing joy both to others and to yourself. Giving freely without counting is one of the surest ways to feel peace and fulfillment each day. 7. Follow what sets your heart alight. Keep your passions alive, whether it's gardening in your back garden, supporting your favorite football club, sketching, or writing poetry. These are not trivial hobbies, but the sparks that keep your soul bright, even in your 80s or 90s. Living wholeheartedly with what you love ensures that, no matter your age, the fire of youth still burns gently within. Some of you may feel that passion belongs to the past, that at this age there's nothing left to excite the heart. But if you pause and listen carefully, there is always something that still makes your spirit stir. One neighbor might love tending roses in her Manchester garden. Another enjoys sketching the cathedral skyline. Someone else delights in reading poetry, while another finds joy in baking scones or simply sipping a cup of Earl Grey while watching the clouds drift over the rooftops of London. The important thing is not to let yourself fall into dull routines or empty days. Choose instead to seek out the small joys and nurture the things that make life worth living. And if the chance comes, don't hesitate to try something new. Learn to play the piano, take up photography in the Lake District, write a journal, or join a group tour to the seaside with friends. Living wholeheartedly with your passions keeps your spirit bright, your smile wide, your confidence steady, and a youthful energy flowing through your days. My dear friends, these 7 principles are not tasks to master in a single day, nor rules to follow perfectly. They are gentle reminders, steps we take slowly with patience, caring for our health, maintaining financial independence, strengthening bonds with family, keeping a positive spirit, learning something new, sharing kindness, and living fully with what we love. Time may pass quietly, silver may thread through our hair, our steps may grow slower, but as long as the heart keeps its fire, joy and vitality remain. That is what makes later life truly fulfilled. And if you are reading this now, believe me when I say every new morning is an opportunity, a gift to live more deeply, more beautifully, and to inspire those who come after us. I wish you peace, happiness, and the pride of knowing that you shine, not because the years have been easy, but because you have carried love, gratitude, and resilience through them all.